right, this is the last video for my first and second degree trig equations lab number 1. And I've completed all the way up to 15 before. So this last one is going to have 3 of them, 16, 17, and 18. And remember what I told you, if you want to shut it off and try it yourself and then just see if you're doing the right thing. Okay. Well, first of all, this first one right here, there's a couple ways to do it. But when I looked at it, I actually distributed the 8 to see what I had here. So I have 8 sine squared theta minus 8 sine theta equals 1. And then I see that it's squared. It's a quadratic, so I'm going to move my 1 over and get it in a method where I can actually find this by using the quadratic formula. So I'm going to subtract 1, and there I go. Now I'm going to set this up so I know A is 8, B is negative 8, C is negative 1, and when I do the b squared minus 4ac, I get 96. So now I know sine theta is negative b, so it turns to positive 8, plus or minus radical 96 all over 16. And I do the positive and negative, and when I do, I get 1.11237 here. When I do the negative, I get negative 0.1, that's negative 0.112372. So I notice here, I'm a little concerned here because I see that this is over 1. So if I do the inverse sine of 1.11237, I get a big whopping error, undefined, because it's over 1. And if it's sine or cosine, if it's over 1 or less than negative 1, then it doesn't exist. So that's good to know. Now this one right here is negative. Okay. So what we've been doing, I know that sine is negative in quadrant 3 and 4. So I set up my picture, and then I look at it and say, I'm going to put the positive in. So I'm going to do inverse sine of the positive 0.112372 to get my reference angle of 6 degrees. Once I have my reference angle, then I'm now going to add it to 180 and subtract it from 360, and I'm going to end up with 2 angles. 186 degrees is the first one. The other one is 354 degrees, and that's the only ones that will make that work because we've got an error here, an empty set on that side. 17. Okay, first of all, I see that it's a quadratic, so I'm going to move everything over to that side. So I have 2 cosine squared theta, because I want to put it equal to 0, plus 4 cosine theta minus 1 equals 0. Stack and rack. A is 2, B is 4, C is negative 1, D is 24 when I do my b squared minus 4ac. So now I have cosine of theta equals negative b plus or minus radical 24 all over 2a or 4. I'm going to split up positive and negative. When I put this in here, I get 0.224745. Here I get negative 2.22474. So when I do inverse cosine right here of this, all right, I am going to get 77 degrees. And I saw that this was positive. I know cosine is positive in quadrant 1 and 4. So the 77 degrees there, and then what I'm going to do is subtract it from 360. I'm going to get my other angle, or 283. So there's my 2 angles for this one. Here, I put inverse cosine of negative 2.2. I get a big empty set because it's greater than, or smaller than negative 1, I should say. So that doesn't work, and it's an error, and it's undefined there. So I only have 2 answers there of 77 degrees and 283 degrees. All right, the last one. I'm going to move it so everything's all nice and neat on one side. So I have tangent squared theta, because I see it's a quadratic, minus 8 tangent of theta, plus 5 equals 0. Stack and rack. A is 1, B is negative 8, C is 5. When I do my b squared minus 4ac, I get 44. Okay, so tangent of theta equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 44 all over 2a. All right, so now I'm going to do the plus and minus. When I do that, I get 7.31662. When I do the subtraction, I get 0.683375. Oh, they're both positive. So when I do inverse tan, so this is positive. I know tangent is positive in quadrant 1 and 3. So when I do inverse tangent here, all right, I'm going to do it here on this one. I get, for an angle, what did I get for that one? 82 degrees. So I get 82 degrees, that's in quadrant 1. Then I'm going to add it to 180, and when I take 82 and add it to 180, I get 262. When I do inverse tan of this one right here, so I'm going to do a different color here because it kind of gets crowded. Inverse tan of this, it's still positive, so I'm going to get a quadrant 1. I'm going to get 34 degrees. So when I do 34 degrees and add to that, I get 214 degrees. So now I have 4 answers for this one. I start out at 34 degrees, then 82 degrees, both in quadrant 1, then 214 degrees, then 262 degrees. So I have covered every single problem of this lab, and the best way to handle this is to do it yourself and double check and make sure that you're doing it right and you practice it in your calculator.